This is McCook's Mr. Bill. It's an honor to have you here. I have been charged with being overprotective all of my life to my children. Absolutely. I do not regret it either that I was overprotective. Maybe some of it came from being raised by my folks that were older, and they just let me run, and I realized that was a lot of danger, extra danger that I did, foolishness that I did that I shouldn't have, because I was allowed to just simply run and learn on my own the hard way quite often. I also, coming from the orphanage, I wanted to be the best parent I could possibly be. When we had our boy, he was stillborn, and that puts a little bit more grind in you. And then a year later, we had our first daughter. And a daughter has a special place in the heart of her father, without question. And so I was overprotected. Even when we went to relatives, sometimes a few of those relatives would want to take our baby and go outside and just walk around, look at the flowers, or do whatever. If that baby left the house, I went out and followed. And they'd say, "You don't trust me with your child." It's my child. I never apologized for being overprotective. Never. At the same time, when they got a little bit older, I had a second daughter then, and the two of them would be in the yard, and some boys would come through once in a while, and they'd want to play, but they'd bust up the toys of the girls. So I quickly stopped that by saying, "You're banned from coming here. You can't come here. You didn't buy the toys, so you just come here to destroy the toys is not gonna how it's gonna work. Get out." Never apologized for being overprotective. And I wasn't there at the time. My wife said at the time, our youngest 5-year-old, and she was outside, and 3 boys came in. She was again 5, and they were probably 8, and they tried to get her to go behind the shed. Well, no question what they probably had in mind. With that, my wife, being overprotective, went out immediately and ordered them off the place and never to come back. And she brought her inside, and extra protection because of that. Overprotective? Absolutely. And we never, ever regretted it. One of the blind spots my wife had is when her sister came, they'd get to gabbing and not watch the children well enough. One of the great examples is that they stopped by my candy truck over at the swimming pool and said, "Hey, we're going to go down and do a little work at the farm and have some fun time too, maybe." Okay. And so off they went. But my wife's sister had a 13-year-old, and our oldest was 8 years old. And I just didn't feel that those two, when they get together, they won't watch those kids enough. And neither one of them grew up on a farm, and out on a farm, a kid can get in trouble if they don't know what's going on. Fine. So I just shut down an hour and a half early, and I drove down there to the farm and to see, what was going on. As I drove into the yard, there, the 13-year-old had one of those three-wheeled off-road vehicles. You remember from the old days. They finally outlawed them because they were too dangerous. But she had that three-wheel, and she was going as fast as she could, I suppose 25 to 30 miles an hour, zipping around the yard. And my daughter, 8-year-old daughter, was behind her on the back of it, and you could just see from her face she was terrified as they were zipping around and doing kitties and things like that, circles. And so I pulled up there, immediately stopped them, and said, "You're not my child. I can't tell you what to do, but she's not riding with you ever again. Get off. Get off." Then the parent of the 13-year-old came out and chewed her out for being driving dangerous and everything like that. But again, that wasn't my problem. I wasn't going to go there. I was telling them my children are going to be safe at the end of the day. They're not going to have a broken arm or maybe a paraplegic, or even worse. Even worse. Throughout my life, I've always done my very best to be overprotective. And not then or not now have I ever said I'm sorry for being that, an overprotective parent. I think you should be too. Have a good day.